What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the data center, I guess. I was Googling for data center backgrounds because I thought I would get one of these in because that'll be fun, but it's symmetrical, but I feel like I'm leaning a little bit. I don't really want to adjust my position, so I guess I can do this. Welcome to another round of Validator AMA. This has been a daily thing for a while. I'm not saying it will continue to be. However, seems to be helpful for people. I've said I'm going to stream every day until launch. If it happens in mid-May, I'm going to have to cut it off at when is the end of mid-May? Would that be like May 20th, May 21st or something like that? I got to cut it off anyways because, if I'm going to be in Miami, I don't, probably won't be streaming. I don't know. Maybe I'll stream down there. I don't know. It's hard to say. We'll see. What's happening, PDC? Hexco is alive and well indeed. Red Squirrel, appreciate you for the algos, man. Daily data of the highest standard. Thank Crypto Truth. Welcome. So a few things I want to go over here. By the way, shout out to Furu Finance. I have been joking around with him about, he's streaming every day about PulseChain being imminent. And I'm like, that's why the imminence is imminent. So much imminence going on. What's up, Almir? However, today the theme is check yourself where you rickety wreck yourself. And that we'll be going over some must-do things as far as validator stuff goes. Like, do not mess these things up. I think it'll be pretty good. So let me start going over that, and then I'll get into questions here in a minute. I'll put it on the screen. Let me go over to the doc. Let's see. Just leave it on here for a minute. And then we'll talk about stuff. So, what are some things that you must not mess up? Let's start with hardware. That's the easy one to talk about. So I have a hardware section on the wiki. And this is something you really shouldn't skimp on hardware. We talk about the minimum recommended requirements are around 32 gigs of RAM. Maybe get by with 16 gigs. I would not run a validator 16 gigs. You never know when you're going to have that spike and need it, especially when you're syncing. It takes a lot more memory and CPU power. 2 terabyte disk. Also, the caveat with that is if you want to do snapshots or backups locally, not using the cloud features, then you may need extra room for that. So you could even go like 4 terabyte, 3 terabyte, 4 terabyte, something like that. And then processing power. I mean, it could be some kind of quad core, Xeon, i7 type stuff. You could do that too. If you're doing cloud, it could be 48V CPUs, which is, this is a server that type of server that I use there as well. And again, if you're doing battery backup, if you're going to be a validator, I think that's the key point here. I would suggest you meet or exceed the minimum requirements. So it's much more trouble later on to upgrade. Just save yourself the headache. Like that's the way I do a lot of things anyways. I'm very proactive, and I like to optimize towards like, hey, something happens I'm not expecting, everything's still fine. I don't like to be caught off guard. I don't like, to wake up and validator stops working one day because I used a used hard disk or something like that. So all new equipment, I would say, you get a spare laptop laying around. I would not make that my validator. That's fine for testnet. You want to play around with it, but on mainnet, when serious money and fees are involved and downtime equals penalties, save yourself the headache. Go if you need to pay a little bit extra if you can. That's what I would do. So the other part is your seed words and generating them. So again, this is help you not wreck yourself. So hardware, get that straightened out. Also on the hardware portion, make sure it's a clean install. Make sure when you do from testnet to mainnet, I've talked about this before on AMAs, but I would do I would wipe the machine, do a clean install. Anything left over. You don't want to there's some bugs, this thing won't start because I tried to use the script again and all that. Just completely wipe everything and start over because it's a different network. And again, I've spent hours and hours. I've wasted so much time and consciousness before chasing down bugs that have came from just a messy environment that, I've trying to avoid that throughout my life. So just clean slate. So on the seed words part, so I end up bolding this, as I said yesterday. After running the script, when you're finished running the setup script, go to the after the running script section. 3 things you need to do here. Install the staking deposit client and generate it on a different machine, not your server, not your validator server. If you generate your seed words with the staking deposit client on your validator server, you are risking them being captured. You're risking, especially if you don't, I know they're only printed to the screen, but do not copy them in any file. Do not put them anywhere near your validator server. The whole deal with your validator server being at worst penalized or having downtime, if something ever happens to it, you get hacked, whatever, is the fact that you did not put your seed words anywhere near the validator server. So they are not recoverable on the server. Don't put them on the server. They won't be there. Your keys, however, will be there to be imported, all that stuff. Your keys are not your seed words. Seed words are your money. Your keys are what you use to participate in the network. Your seeds are your money. Keep your money away from your validator server. So step 1 is to generate them on a secure machine. Step 2 is to get the keys that you generated on the server and import them. And then once you are synced, and only once you are synced, then make your deposit, else you risk being penalized. Like I've said that 1,000 times, but I know there's someone who hasn't been on here before that can probably benefit me saying that just one more time. And good feedback I got the other day when I thought I already had it on the wiki, but the environment options for key generation, everyone gets confused. Oh, I need another machine. I need 2 machines to be a validator. You only need the other one for a moment. It could literally be your server, but you use like a live CD or a bootable USB, and you boot up a Ubuntu Linux or whatever it is, and you generate it there. You take care, copy your seed words physically, somewhere, and then it all just goes away after that. You reboot. You don't boot from the disk anymore, or you don't boot from the CD or the USB. You boot from disk, and it's all good. So that is one option. Use a separate machine entirely with clean install. Virtual machine, less secure. Cloud instance, less secure. So that's one way not to wreck yourself. Do not lose your seed words, and do not generate them on another computer, or do not generate them on your server. Do not have them anywhere near your server. So far, meet or exceed the minimum requirements. Don't skimp out on hardware. Do not generate your keys on your server. Do not have your keys anywhere near your server. Kind of related, but two concepts there. Seed words equal your money. Keep your money away from your validator server. And then the third one is your withdrawal address. So when you set it down here, extremely important to make sure you and only you have access to this. And more than that, you have access to it. Do not typo this address. Pretend this address is the address that you're about to send $1 million of ETH to, or Hex, or whatever. Pretend it's that address. That's how important this is, because you never know, that PLS you'd make it as a deposit could become worth that much one day. We hope so. So this is where you get your money back. It's like the analogy I use is you go to a store and you put down a deposit to buy, I don't know, let's go to the Lambo store. We go to the Lambo shop and you put down a $50K deposit on a Lambo. I know that's not how this stuff works, but just go with me. And then you say, okay, they're like, oh, where do you want to deliver the Lambo? And then you give them the wrong address, and it's like not even in the same state or country. And they deliver it to that other person a week later, and you never get it. You just never get it again. So if you want the Lambo to show up at your house, give the right address. So withdrawal address. So meet the minimum or exceed the requirements. Generate your seed words on a different machine. Keep your seed words secure and away from that machine, but make sure you always have access to them. And then make sure you don't typo your withdrawal address. It could be a cold wallet, whatever. The address linking to it. You have access to it. No one else does. It's secure. So don't put the seed words for this on your validator server either. Obviously, keep everything separate. Seed words should never be on your validator server or any machine connected to it on the network or anywhere else. That's why I say if you're running at home, you need to take extra special care, because if the machine gets attacked at home and you're not running on a different network, you don't have that network isolation I've talked about during the security AMA, I have videos and stuff on it, then attackers could pivot from your validator server to start attacking other machines on your server or on your network, such as your personal computer, which shouldn't have your seed words, but hey, let's be honest, a lot of people do that. So keep them off your network. The game is keeping them off your network. That's why I like running the cloud, because it's a completely different network. They can't attack my home network if I don't run the validator on my home network. But also I know a lot of people do. So you can install another router, all that stuff. Click on the security section if you want more information about that. This tells you different ways to do cascading routers and VLANs and all that good stuff. And what's the AMA? I'll talk about it there as well. So check yourself or you rickety wreck yourself. That's the theme of today. Go into the chat. Matthew Dandurand. Any ideas on the checksum error happens when running validator on local hardware, but not when I'm running in a cloud or AMS? Can you paste the checksum error? Because I don't know. Checksum error is when data gets corrupted somehow, usually. That's what CRCs are for. CRCs are a way or algorithm to do checksums, and they make sure data in transit or data that's getting unwrapped or parsed or whatever, the values aren't wrong. If the values are wrong, or it got corrupted or something, then or changed, then don't trust it. That's basically like what checksums are for, and you could use them to see if is something the same as what it was intended to be when I released it. There's a bunch of different things for it, but anyways, I've not heard checksum stuff with validator. Happens when running a validator on local hardware, but not when I'm running on AWS. I don't know. Yeah, please elaborate on that. Like what it's giving checksum errors to the client or otherwise. Yeah, Richard, I know a lot of people are there. They have the feels about imminent. I know everyone's excited, and maybe it is imminent. I can't tell you it's not imminent. I can just tell you that I don't think it's today based on what I've been seeing. Do you have to have 34 million pulse to run a validator? No, you got to have 32 million. But yes, you have to have that much pulse to run per validator. You can run more than one. You can run 100 if you want, but each. Jorn A gives me GA with eggplant. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate your participation in the chat. Ice Maxi. Your picture has a tree in it, which could have ice, could be frozen. I'm not sure. Sure what that means either. Will the validator amount of PLS affect price positively long term? Will the validator amount of PLS affect? Well, if it's being locked up, then more supplies locked up being a validator. Even though you're getting paid fees, then I think overall the more validators equals more price, more supply locked up. And that seems positive for price. How positive? I don't know, but it seems positive. What's up, P Burn with 9-inch? Welcome. Okay, Matthew said, failed to write skeleton headers progress. Oh, okay. So you're syncing. Blockchain stuff. Okay. Interesting. I have not came across this. I don't know. I would say just try syncing again. I would delete if you're using my script, I have a reset validators, but yeah, I don't know if it worked. If you didn't use my script, I don't know if it's going to work. exactly, but you can use the commands and stuff of, well, maybe if you haven't used my script, I wouldn't use this because I don't know if it's going to work on your setup. But it looks like something got corrupted when you were syncing blockchain data. So if I saw that, I would be like, I'm going to have to resync again. So I would just start, you know, for example, in the script, it deletes where it installed the blockchain data stuff. Actually, in this, it actually leaves the blockchain data there. So remove blockchain data equals true would remove it all, which removes everything, including blockchain data in the directory it's installed. So I would basically start over and try to sync again. Let me know if you don't know how to do that. I can elaborate like with specific questions. So I don't know if you're using the script or using some other setup, but that's, oh, okay, you use my script. And running Docker with David, same issue happens. Man, that is weird. You shouldn't get it with different setups. It should be like a one-time deal. You know what? At that point, I think it may be your hardware. If you're not having this problem in the cloud, have you tried a different machine? I'm assuming not. But if you're not having this problem in the cloud and you've tried it on the same machine running different script like my script and then the Docker commands with the feeders, and you reinstall it, yeah, sorry, man, that's frustrating. I hear you. I've been there. I feel you. It sucks. Not with this issue, but reinstalling stuff, can't figure out what's going wrong, all that stuff. Always syncing guest stops there as restarts. I think that's a hard disk thing. Are you running on a new system or a used something you had laying around? Hopefully it's not a bad new hard drive. But I would say that would be my guess. Robert online. Hey, Max. So I've been wondering how I just want to go about validating beyond the minimum 32 mil. Beyond, well, 32 mil for one validator, 64 mil for two, and so on. So if you want to go beyond the minimum, if you have 64, you can run two validators. If you want to dedicate those to that, make your deposit, all that stuff. But if you want to elaborate on the question a little bit, I can go further. But I think if you want to do more than 32, you can run more validators for sure. What's up, M21 photo? What's happening? Nice Pulse Doge pig face there. The RH faces, love those. Love that art, real art. Matthew says, yeah, I'm running a VM on my Unraid server for my setup. Thought it may be a hard drive to allocate a different one, same issue. Yeah. If it's not your operating system, because you reinstalled that, it's not the commands or the skips or the steps or the scripts, because you tried different ones. You tried Docker and you tried non-Docker, which is mine. Yeah, man. I think the hard drive at this point, because that's the type of thing. Check some errors. I could see it if it's not a software problem. It could be a hardware. And the first thing of hardware I would think of would be your disk. Could be your memory, but I think of disk when I think of that. So that's what I would swap. And running on a RAID, I don't know if there's some sort of, yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. What's up, Finn Bear? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right. So if you want to, those who just joined, if you want to figure out how to not wreck yourself, I went over a few things already that would be important. What else? I was going to go over the GitLab because I've been getting updates. And I think Alex from Hedron, was that on Geth? He had an issue. And I think it's relevant to launch because, I take that back. I don't know if it's relevant for launch, but I'm curious to see where's the issues. I'm just not seeing this. Well, let me go find it in my stuff then. Oh, I don't see it right there. Okay, it's on PulseChain column Aragon lib. Okay. Draft don't treat nil doubtful support as false. 3 states. Nil is effectively true. Fork was ultimately implemented as code. Currently treats nil will be synonymous with false. Problem is Aragon knows synced against mainnet snapshots whenever sets value, so look at it as nil. Okay. Doesn't seem critical, but it's definitely something to. Cool. Alex is actually. Where's this change? I like the variable. It's PulseChain. Nice. Where is he actually put the nil? Let's just scroll. Okay. Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not a Go programmer. I've written things in Go before, but that's not my first language, we'll say. So just kind of looking through. Interesting. That's what I do when I see new updates come. So yeah, don't see anything critical holding us up there. Just top of my head. And then I came across this one as well. Prism control validator has Ethereum leftovers for input output. Follows mainnet, it's just Ethereum, not PulseChain. Oh, this. Okay, so this is just cosmetic. Cool. So no, nothing super important here. Just cosmetic, which we need to be tidied up, right? We're not going to launch and be like, oh, you have a, it says Ethereum in the logs and stuff, like, obviously, but it's just small. That's just polishing stuff. So I don't see anything that's holding up launch or anything super important for that. But I thought I'd go through that live. Yes, I can paste the link. Good catch. As well. And let's see, we can just look at issues, Prism Pulse. Yeah, let's just go through the issues. Parsing. Yeah, I saw somebody do this one too. I saw someone talk about this. It's kind of a nice, again, another nice to have. It's just about graffiti. Validators. I don't know what this is. Terminal saved output. Some people have been creating tickets that are just kind of are not relevant. So hopefully I used to see a lot more, but it's thankfully toned down. So I'm just looking at the clients. Where is the issues button? Why am I not seeing this? Let me say issues. Happening manually because for some reason my eyes are not looking at it. So this was a month ago. I'm sure we've not a problem anymore. I submitted a documentation bug like a month or two ago that I'm sure hasn't been. Maybe it has been fixed. I don't know. Yeah, that was back for V3 too. Stalls. That may have been around the checkpoint stuff that Alex, not checkpoint, but stuff. I got some that ENR address, but not ENR. Shoot, ENR node or something where it helps you sync faster. I forget what it does, but it's not needed in V4 anymore. So scroll through. Let's look at. So we looked at that. Go Pulse. I'm not going to try. I'm just going to type it in manually. Oops. Really? It should be dash issues. Shincon dash issues. Maybe you can file issues on GoPulse. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. Top of my head. So yeah, just looking through here to see if there's anything interesting as far as issues go for the clients. All good. The imminence is real. The imminence is real. Yay, GitLab stuff. Yep. Let's see. Rubberline. Okay, so 30 million validator would be more than one instance on the same server. Yeah, so you can run as many validators you want on one server as long as it's got enough hardware stuff. As long as you meet the minimum requirements. If you're going to run 100, I'll tell people like I would make sure if you're going to run 100, you got to have a lot of pulse anyway. You can afford to upgrade your server. So let's look at I have some documentation on that somewhere. Yeah, it's an FAQ. Here we go. Everybody check out the FAQ. I've cleaned it up a little bit lately and added some more stuff to it. I run more than one validator on a single server. There you go. And then I want to add more validators. This is from shout out to Vince, Crypto Vince. He was asking me about this yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, I can add that to the doc too. I haven't did this. I haven't tested this, but like this, there's a guide on CoinCashew, which has a ton of great guides, by the way. And yeah, you basically just make sure you get this correct. Again, you can add more validators. So pretty cool. How can you see stats? You can go to the Beacon Explorer, and then also, of course, you can do the monitoring. We got monitoring script. Is everyone familiar in the chat? Are you familiar with this repo? Like, do you need me to explain how this stuff works or anything? I want to make sure because all the common questions, I can just point you quickly to stuff. So the ideal of this repo is to automate most of the process for you of being a validator. Afterwards, you just need to do 3 manual steps afterwards. And they're pretty quick. The entire process to become a validator, it's about 3 days. Yeah, so it's because once you get hardware set up. So once you run the script, you need to sync, which takes a day or two, fully sync, depending on your hardware and your bandwidth and all that stuff. And then you need another day. Once you're synced, then you make your deposit, you get your clients activated. That could take 16 hours, 32 hours, within around a day or so. So the full process you could expect could vary, but 2, 3, 4 days to get your validator set up and running. That's been my experience through this whole process. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Good questions. Happy to help. I've got another, I'll probably keep going for another 15 minutes or so. Let me get your questions in so I can answer them best I can. Warfield says, is it possible to set up a static IP with different jurisdictions from a local US internet provider? If you're in the local US, I mean, it's even hard to get a static IP from your ISP. So that's kind of like the first barrier. I mean, I guess, some people talked about using VPNs with validators. If you're in the US, it's not a lot of stuff to worry about. If you're in a censorship country, maybe they're applicable there, for censorship resistance. But you're asking, set up a static IP with different jurisdictions from a local internet service. You wouldn't use your internet ISP for that, I wouldn't think. You would just, I guess, use a VPN to connect to their network. And I don't know. I haven't used VPNs with validators, so I don't know. I've used VPNs for a lot of other things, but not validators specifically. So it's hard for me to talk about that. But some people have commented saying they did stuff like that. So I don't know. However, I would not rely on having a static IP. Great time to show you update fee IP address. So what this does is if and when your IP address of your validator may change from time to time. And when it does, if you can't get it set static for some reason, then the script lets you change it. So all you do is run it. Should have put up an example of how to run this in here. I didn't even think about that. All you do is run it and then give it to your fee address and your new IP address. And then this is part of the scripts. So all these scripts rely on each other in a way. So this relies on setup script because it knows exactly where the stuff is inside the service files. So this will update your IP address and your fee recipient. If fee recipient didn't change, that's fine. Just use the same one. But if your IP address changed, then you can use the script for that. So that's how you handle IP address changes if you're using the scripts I've created. PulseChain imminent. I know. That's what I've heard, at least. That's what I've heard. Do I believe it or not? I think I need to see more updates of stuff that I'm watching. But when you see mainnet on GitLab, a merge from mainnet branch, or a branch that has something to do with mainnet, it appears on GitLab. And not only that, Brett Paulson approved it. I'm like, whoa, okay. That seems like a signal of some sort. That doesn't seem like an accident. Like, oh, because once they do it, they're going to be like, guys, like when we put mainnet in the title, people are going to think they're going to get excited. I don't think it's an accident. So do I think that means launch imminent? Never said that. But do I think launch soon? I do. Sooner than it was yesterday. Matthew says, maybe worth adding a tutorial on how to add additional validators after initial setup later use private generate. I added content on that. That's what I was talking about a minute ago on the FAQ. And I don't really need to do a tutorial on it because it's so simple. Literally, I mean, this is the tutorial if you really want a full fleshed out guide. And you just, I imagine you would just swap out, where does it show? Yeah. Swap out mainnet for PulseChain mainnet, whatever that's going to be in the future. I'll update the wiki to talk about that. But right now, I mean, there's no script needed. There's no tutorial needed. There's already a tutorial here. And I just put the example and kind of a little bit of words there, a little bit of commentary. But yeah, you just change it to whatever chain you're using. And then it's a great tutorial. Somebody already did it for that. So I can just link to it. Master Nature. There is no imminent launch, unfortunately. You could be waiting another year. Yeah, we could. We could. You never know. Now, what are the chances of that? Pretty low. Pretty low. The consensus is pretty low. If we're seeing Brett post stuff for the next month, then I don't think people are going to believe it anymore. If we see Richard still post about mainnet in June, I think, okay, maybe it's next year. Like, other than that, I mean, it's just kind of funny to think all the people have expectations out there that keep being disappointed and keep, being frustrated because they expect it to launch soon. Even if it doesn't launch this month, I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to keep waiting because I know what's at the end. I know what's at the other end of that tunnel. I'm okay with that. It's bright lights and beauty and amazing stuff. So if you don't expect it to launch now and it doesn't launch now, you won't be disappointed that it doesn't launch now. If you don't expect it to be imminent, you won't be disappointed in case it's not actually imminent. But if you want to be disappointed, if you want to try to manifest this because you think you have some control over it, I know I don't have any control over it. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what other people's situations are, but I know I have no control over it. So I'm at peace with the fact that it's out of my control. All I can do is try to bring information to the community and make sure I'm prepared, and in turn, you all will be more prepared from my preparation. So it does not dampen my mood at all. Every day it doesn't launch, I'm not sad. I do not get sadder every day PulseChain does not launch because I don't have expectations. It sounds so simple, to me, it is simple, but you got to actually believe it. I guess that's key. Like, you have to believe that you do not have control over launch, and then you'll stop trying to have control over launch and then be disappointed when it doesn't launch when you think it's going to launch, or your favorite Twitter person said it's going to launch and all that stuff. So you don't have to follow people who tweet about PulseChain launching every day. If you don't think it's good for you, mute, unfollow, whatever. Like, you have control. You have control over your a lot of your content. So if you do like that, cool. A lot of people like it. I think everyone in the community has a purpose, and a lot of people have utility in a lot of different ways. So let's. I'm cool with the hopes and dreams, because I know they're going to be reality one day. But I'm not going to get sad. PulseChain doesn't launch another day. I don't wake up every day thinking it's going to launch and then being disappointed. Anyways, I beat this dead horse so much. Let's go in the chat. Exactly. I'm watching Get of Labs and Brett up like a hot. I do find myself going to his Twitter profile and clicking replies and mentions just to see who he's talking about if he's not tweeting himself every once in a while, just to see if there's some other winky face he's giving. But it's purely entertainment purposes. It's not, I think it's most of it. What's up, PulseX? Will Dev Kyle rise from ashes? Man, I know. He was going to come on the show in November, I want to say. November or December, or January, somewhere through there. He was going to come on the show. We had a show set up, and then he took a break. I totally respect. And I haven't heard from him since. So yeah, Dev Kyle is awesome. He is my favorite dev. And one day I'm sure he'll be flying high again. I think he's just taking a break or just hanging out, which I totally respect and understand. If he does show up and start tweeting, I'm gonna get excited though. Although I was watching an interview you did with Hexologist a while back, and I don't think he's actually a PulseChain dev. He's a Hex dev, pretty sure, but I think he just helps out on certain PulseChain stuff. I think it's what he was saying, if I understand it correctly. So I don't think he's this key dev in PulseChain. However, I'm sure that he does a lot of cool stuff to help out, and maybe he's wrote some code too for PulseChain. I don't know. Let's see, Rubberline. If I choose a VPS with static IP validator, do I need a domain name as well? No, you do not need a domain name. You only need a domain if you want to have a domain to point to the IP address. So most of the internet doesn't have a domain name. Most of the IPs on the internet, I would wager, I haven't ran the numbers, but I would wager they don't have DNS, public DNS stuff. Because unless you're a website or you're running some kind of service, why can't you just use the IP address, right? So anyways, you don't need a domain. You can have one, but you wouldn't really use it for anything but yourself, I guess. Hex up in the meantime. That's cool. I've been trying not to look at the Hex price either, because again, if you're looking at the Hex price, you're probably looking to if you look at the Hex price and it makes you sad, I would wager that's probably because you want to sell it. And then I would say, if that is the case, why do you want to sell it? Why do you want to sell it when the bull run hasn't even begun? I mean, sure, maybe you have bills, you have stuff to do. I get it. I'm just saying, I think it's a good way to reflect. If you look at the Hex price and you're sad, why does price matter unless you're trying to do something with it? Just fully manifested 9 seconds past midday. All right, set your clocks. Midnight tonight? Is that UTC or Eastern? Hasso FPV manifested it. Certain things, manifestation, the mindset is helpful for, but PulseChain launch, not so much. Unless Richard's manifesting it, then, because he actually has control of all this stuff, Even him, he's at the mercy of the devs too, right? He's not going to launch an incomplete product. Yeah, there you go, man. It's I love the Naval quote. You, what is the quote? Every time I say it, you are responsible for everything you think and feel. For everything. I guess you could use it as affirmation. I and I alone am responsible for everything I think and feel. It gives you power. Like once you accept you have the power to feel the way you want to feel, you stop, it's much easier to stop letting other people, stop blaming them, stop letting them control your emotions when you give yourself the power to say, no, I'm going to cultivate peace. I'm not going to lose my peace because I'm in control and everything happens for a reason. Like you kind of cascade and layer a bunch of other stuff on top of that as well. So Naval Ravikant, one of my favorite people in the world, has a great book. I've talked about it many, many times. Love his stuff. This guy, he's awesome. Learned as much from him as I have from Richard, maybe. They're two go pretty much head to head in a lot of ways. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up? We're coming up on the 45-minute mark. I got a stream with cryptographics in a few hours, 7 o'clock Eastern, called The Mad Gains Mindset #2. The first one was with Max and Broadcast. Fantastic. This one is with graphics, another deep thinker. So I'm very excited to talk about that. If you like mindset stuff, which some of you do, then feel free to drop by. Doing 2-a-days again. Yesterday I only did one. Doing 2-a-days today. Fine, be conservative, but next year I can't see it happening. Yeah, I don't think anyone sees that happening. Like meteor, that's about it. It's hopefully mid-May. That's what we hope. Mr. Ego says, to be honest, I started hating these soon tweets from RH. Yeah, I don't know. I could see both ways. I just don't want it to be this. I don't want it to go on for weeks. So I hope it's not that, just because it's just, I prefer to be able to trust and take cues and take signals accurately. But if you're saying something and it doesn't happen, or it goes on too long, then you start getting mixed signals and you don't know what to trust and you don't know how to interpret stuff. So it's just better data if it happens according to a plan. And he probably maybe has a plan of like how to do this stuff. So I don't think it's RH that is getting people's emotions riled up as much as just crypto Hex Twitter. I love Hex Twitter. I love PulseChain Twitter. But nobody knows when the stuff's going to launch, and you just got to watch and make sure you don't get yourself riled up because you saw 20 people tweet it when those 20 people may not know more than you do, or maybe going off bad information, or maybe just be guessing themselves, or maybe they have good information. But if you keep seeing it over and over and over, it's like, maybe nobody knows. Maybe nobody knows when it's going to launch, actually. I like getting the people going. Again, I think it's good to have this momentum. And I hope it works out beautifully. Hopefully just slide into everything. It'd be great. Was our group making PNS? Pulse name service? PNS. I know. It sounds like something else. Yeah, I think there was. I saw some tweet about that. I don't know much about it, though. Sorry. You're welcome, Paul. You're welcome. Yeah, Naval is amazing. I recommend everyone who's thirsty for knowledge to deep dive into Naval. He is the man. Him and Richard, my two favorite people in the world, seriously, to learn from. Warfield, how safe is the static IP address node? I don't understand the safe question. What risk? I would ask you, what risk do you think would come from having a static IP? Privacy, I guess. Like if there's some kind of privacy thing in there that doesn't change, maybe you want it to change over time. I don't know. I can't think of any risks of having a static versus dynamic other than if you want your IP to change every once in a while, which maybe I don't know what the ROI for security is on that for the normal browser person, people using the internet. For a server, you want it to change not at all or less, because then you got to update configs and stuff. Unless you got something else. Unless you got actually, if you had a reverse proxy or a load balancer, maybe DNS would be good. I don't know if that actually the clients use it, but then you could just say, like, here's the domain. That's one thing domains are actually good for. You could pair that with a load balancer. It's like, okay, go this domain, and then at the other end, it decides which server to go to, which IP address. Although, I don't know. Forget I just said that, because there's a bunch of, they're kind of related, but they're, yeah. There's ways to make it where if your IP address changes, that things still get routed in the right place, but I don't think it's very relevant for validator stuff. Anyways, build your hex bags. Hex up. We like hex up. We do like that. I'm not sad when hex goes down. I try not to be, but it going up, I'm okay letting my emotions be positive when I see that. Anyways, everyone, that's all I got. If you want to come in a few hours to the channel, Graphics Beyond Mad Gains Mindset, as I said. Hope this was helpful. Give you a little update on stuff. Scivive and 5555. We are out.